At least 15 people have been killed in a stampede at one of the main train stations in the Indian capital, Delhi. The crush happened as thousands gathered to board services to the Maha Kumbh Hindu festival. The world's largest religious gathering attracts millions and has a history of crowd-related disasters.
These are scenes from the New Delhi railway station after a deadly stampede. The station was packed with crowds traveling for the Kumbh Mela, the world's largest religious gathering.
There was a huge stampede. The crowd was huge. I've never seen such a crowd before. There was a lot of pushing.
Were any of you injured?
No, we weren't injured. We took our kids and came out of the station.
Railway officials say 2 trains had been delayed, and a third heading to Prayagraj, where the Kumbh Mela is taking place, was at the platform.
As of now, the most important point, as of now, situation is under control. As trains are moving.
As you come down from the foot-over bridge, you can see there's no issue at the moment. The situation went out of control for a brief spell of 10 to 15 minutes due to overcrowding.
Police and relief teams struggled to ease the congestion. This incident comes less than a month after dozens of people were killed in a pre-dawn crush in Prayagraj.
DW's Delhi Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann joins us now from the Indian capital. Sandra, tell us a little bit more about how this tragedy unfolded.
Well, Michael, much is still unclear as investigators go through CCTV footage recovered from the train station, as well as plowing through social media videos to reconstruct the exact chain of events. But early eyewitness accounts suggest that around 10 p.m. local time yesterday evening, there was a sudden swelling in crowd size at New Delhi railway station, which is one of the busiest and biggest here in the capital. And then there was an announcement of 2 trains either delayed or cancelled, so there was confusion about that. While at a neighboring platform, there was a train getting ready to depart to Prayagraj to take pilgrims to the Maha Kumbh Mela, and then seemingly all hell broke loose as people tried to make it to that particular train on an already overcrowded platform with an already overcrowded train. There was a lot of pushing and shoving, and as things unfold, obviously people were pushed down, were squeezed, were trampled. And from all that we know, it is mainly women and children who are amongst the victims who seemingly died of suffocation. And we have to keep in mind that all of this is happening at a very special time in the Indian traveling year. You have mentioned the Maha Kumbh Mela, the biggest Hindu religious festival, the biggest religious festival in the world, attracting more than 400 million people over a stretch of 6 weeks. We are now in the final stages as the Maha Kumbh is concluding on February 26th. So there are huge crowds to be managed. And I think it is safe to say that what we saw at New Delhi railway station last night was a lack of crowd control.
Sandra, you talk about huge crowds. Explain something. This is the world's largest religious festival. Surely officials would have planned for dealing with extraordinary numbers, and not for the first time. So why were Delhi authorities unable to prevent this?
Well, that is something that special investigation teams that have been set up now by the police and by Indian Railways need to answer. Rather uncomfortable questions need to be answered. And like I said, a certain lack of crowd control needs to be investigated. And to me, there are certain questions sticking out, and they're also being asked on social media by people who are just appalled by these things happening over and over again. And one of them obviously is, I'm just looking at my notes here, how was it possible that so many people were allowed inside the train station that was already overcrowded? Why was the massive overcrowding on rather narrow platforms not stopped before the crowd size reached a level beyond beyond control? Also a very relevant question. Was there enough security personnel deployed here at the train station? Why were trains cancelled? Why are so many trains delayed, despite the fact that most of the pilgrims that want to go to the Maha Kumbh Mela rely on the trains to take them to this very special event? And last but not least, also a rather uncomfortable question: why are people willing to risk their lives to squeeze themselves into these kind of situations on overcrowded platforms, in overcrowded trains, just to get to the Maha Kumbh Mela? Is there a certain fear of missing out maybe that needs to be answered as well?
Sandra, we're out of time, but I do have to ask you this so quickly. This is the second stampede in as many weeks to have taken place in connection with the Kumbh Mela. What are Indian authorities actively doing to prevent something like this from happening again?
Well, on short notice, more trains have been deployed last night and early in the morning to get the crowd over to Prayagraj. But this is a question, I mean, that we see happening at a lot of religious festivals here. What do you do when crowd size becomes too much to control? And maybe one of the questions that need to be asked is, was the social media campaign, the national advertising campaign, creating a frenzy beyond control?
Got it. That's DW's Sandra Petersmann in Delhi. Many, many, many thanks, Sandra.